know I gotta send Venus her queen.
So many sisters missing, and our brothers in prison. It appears all our fears are from a mental condition. Little brothers sagging, thinking that they bad men, but when police come and see they no longer bad men. Mothers are stressed, wives felt left. Fathers feel no responsibility because she was just sex. She was just his punching bag, he was just a check. For him, she has lost almost all respect. Now she's swirling, trying to find a king who step granddad calls her a niggerish thing, but only behind doors closed. Men are now the hoes, surrounded by the homies, wearing the tightest clothes, dyeing their hair, doing their nails. She sanctions behavior to pay rent, sleeping with the next door neighbor. To buy food, she's tripping, his life her workstation. Caught up in the cycle like untied shoelaces. Time to see your faults honestly and time to correct. No time for BS arguments and disrespect. Stop buying so much funding. The beast are complaining about abuse you receive. That's what you get for paying. Those outside your nation whose finances circulating among themselves, so much no simulation. It's reality. Why are we the only casualties of human trafficking and police brutalities? Still paying for so much prayers, they still go wrong. Everyone sold their souls and singing decency songs. Chinese recruit for CBA, not NBA arenas. Too much racism at Marbury and Gilbert arenas. Perspective needs to broaden before autumn. Always looking outside for Christ, thinking so foreign. Take caution, that's not a man but a goblin. Selling lace dispensary weed, throwing up your organs.
Standing on the rock, Morocco, here we go, Moa by Mo, Grand G Cujo. Let's flow.
Up from the grave, no longer in their state. Colonization claimed my consciousness, but now I'm awake. Broke the chains of being ignorant, I stand on the truth. Competent in my proper person, rocking the boot. Navigating through the waters in the leanable rights. The 7 seas, all I sent me, so I'm bringing the light. Can't rewind the hands of time, so I'm expanding my space. I'm from one human family, the human race. My pedigree is in my blood, I'm forever a more. Asiatic mobile body, sound I'm ready for war. She redeems when I speak to she, I'm speaking to me. Assisting and helping uplifting fallen humanity. For the record, on the record, neither Negro or black. A troglodyte, my people suffering, we only attack. My people perish from true knowledge, we so desperately lack. So why in the hell would I want to go back? No. Can't go back to that. Been a slave of my mentality. Broke the chains that were bound in me. Listen to me now. Can't go back to that. I'm on the left, you're on the right, and the light. Melanated radiation is bright.
Yeah, we don't regress but progress. Crystals back for no stress. With the feds and not liberate the minds oppressed. Staring at a wall in a hole, show you a ladder. Which is not a thing you climb, but your 7 chakras. Ask Jacob, 5 up, assalamu alaikum. Left foot first, so standing on the square, take 'em. The opposite of get out black holes into life so marvelous. You get scared from fright. False and light, to men appears real, you just might. Sit that trap, can't move, just paralyzed. Paralysis that you only get if you see. Your heights are so deep, the depths are so deep. Intelligent hoodlums said arrest the presidency. 2 shots for drink champs, Nori knows True Ali. Calling me a scene babe, no step, you think like the colonists. Even though Nostradamus told you what your problem is.
Can't go back to that. Been a slave of my mentality. Broke the chains that were bound in me. Listen to me now. Can't go back to that. I'm on the left, you're on the right, and the light. Melanated radiation is bright. Can't go back to that. Been a getting itch in his brain. I rise to give honors to Allah, the Father of the universe, to Noble Drew Ali, to Grand Sheik, Cujo Awo El, Canaanland Moorish, for sharing this mic with me, Temple number 5, to my son, my firstborn, for producing this track, Hassani Mossad, 206, also known as Preach to God, and to DJ Funk Daddy, the best in the West, Washington Republic, and to my emperor, Islamism.
People are afraid to pursue their most important dreams because they feel that they don't deserve them or that they'll be unable to achieve them. We, their hearts, become fearful just thinking of loved ones who go away forever, or of moments that could have been good but weren't, or of treasures that might have been found but were forever hidden in the sand.
30 more say the prophet's name won't teach the same universal lessons, keep you slave chains on your brain. Wanting Moorish presidents when that's the prophet. If he was around, most Grand Sheik's heads he'll off it. Guilty by association, off your head too, for riding with dirty Moors that made a mockery of true Ali. Dirty Moors from Canaanland to Cali, used to be Elbe, now they claim Ali. Keep thinking that they're for you, but get ignored. Giving lessons in pieces like a jigsaw. Leave you puzzled, your third eye muzzled, mind smuggled. Know how to say the right thing, keep lies subtle. Really win with truth bait, lying eyes and truth face. Ego Moors make you carry their suitcase or hold their umbrella. He walks like a fruitcake, prophet watching from the soul plane. The route you take, whose prince will you step in? Demons or genuines, MSTA members or Moorish Americans? You don't hear what's coming for me. 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 90 plus years running a fraud, that's why you know every prophet and Ali, but not true. Keeping you away, they have a deep, dirty more crew, causing confusion. This dirty more crew will tell you partial to have chains on your brain when there should be parcel, a free national name. Drew Ali got revenge by Moore's eyes wide open, not Morisco world eyes wide open. For her can make those lips clap, using Frank Gary, Brother Larry, journalist traps. Homoerotic, stray cat Moors dissing the mothers, putting blame on active Moors for current gains and others. Fake prophets, heads on the coin, and pictures next to the noble. Today the treasury balance is zero, the total. You don't hear what's coming for me. You don't hear what's coming for me. You don't hear what's coming for me. You don't hear what's coming. Study, study, study. When you're finished, study yourself. Dirty Moors judge your attire and judge your bookshelf. Study, study, study. When you're fit to study the law. When you study no trance by Moorish hymn composers. Study, study, study. When you're finished, study the higher. Dirty Moors cook out death smell from Oscar Mayer. Study, study, study. When you're finished, it's never finished. Dirty Moors selling status correction clinics. 500 for class pass. I'd rather watch Taj and have a clear perspective on the Moorish path. Faculty and student, Moorish Heritage History School. Don't endanger your life with a fool. Yeah. Aha. Ignorance is contagious. Yo, lift your head up, man. You might walk into something. The scene, feathers and turbans, 1913. Moorish Jewish temples in Harlem before conscious stardom. UNIA parade, Garvey dressed Moorish as ever. Admirals or emirs, catch them in the whirlwind forever. Before Allah, temple of Islam, gods and earth's nations. Knowledge of nationality, freed us from plantations. Allegations, alterations, transfer ownership, proclamations. Feathers don't mean Moors, cause Congolese amputations. Playing on emotions of the people asleep mentally. Still asleep, Drew Ali came over a century ago. Although you weren't told, seek and find. Knowledge is water for thought seeds in the mind. Soil conscience. If constant will exercise demons that haunted your vessel, attempted to get between your temples, go from a rotten man to a devil, delve into lower levels and actually love it. Lower self junkies acting like troglodyte monkeys, like puppets. Renaissance is unrelated to blacks, check the facts. The Moors are who kept ancestral knowledge intact, expressed in videos, books and raps. What you call a two twins, I had to call a liberty cap. Freedom is everyone's job, but most abandon their posts. Now their children are diagnosed with multiple distinctive hosts. Plus they given the order to administer dose, looking for salvation from out and not innermost. As souls crunch like cinnamon toast. The devil's still happy and stay happy. The message to you ignorant folks, written on the pages is the ageless wisdom of the sages. Ignorance is contagious. Written on the pages is the ageless wisdom of the sages. Ignorance is contagious. Wisdom of the sages. Ignorance is contagious. Ignorance is contagious. Ignorance is contagious. When I listened to Fred Hampton, he wasn't like modern black men, white power for white people. Did he mean the Klansmen? Brown power for brown people. Did he mean the Brahmin? And I guess all the yellow powers for the Chinaman. I get it. Do you? I think not. Brahmins don't call themselves brown, and I don't see yellow anything when I'm in Chinatown. Feathers up quenching British thirst, honor our prophets that gave prophecies to the likes of Nostradamus. The Nostradamus debut number 7 on Billboard. Put his finger on the cover, told us we're still Moors. Dougie Fresh, his brother, and Pop knew they're not niggas. Even Crew Quan is a big, you know, from grave diggers. You made the same mistake politicians have, reaping what you sow, talking all that jazz, and still talking. All I see is zombies walking with their eyes low, with their minds in the screen like Max Headroom show. While you worry about FEMA, I keep my enemies closer, and one eye on dirty more than the conscious poser. One hand around the straw man's neck and lower self in a headlock. Vixen stabbed in a crotch, Sucunias get headshots. Jezebels and jack-o'-lanterns lead them astray because some talk BS about kill cracker, never shoved one. Jumbies taking the form of your deceased loved ones, leading you through end of tunnel lights into torture dungeons. Using honey traps against vigilance to some instruments. Propaganda say being more is tied to religiousness. When we are indigenous and bound to the continent, FOH with your flattering manipulative compliments. I have my ancestral confidence from their accomplishments, ancestral confidence from their accomplishments. Return to my foreparents' mindset. Keeps me competent, not incompetent.
And let me say this, and I'll try to say this with love, but I say it because it's how I feel. I've never met so many cowards in our black men in show business. I've never met so many black men that have no goddamn backbone. What happens in our community, they've got us chasing the bag.
Which men she talking about? Let's just go confirm which men she's talking about. She's not talking about Moorish men. She's not talking about men with nationalities. She's talking about specific kind of men. These ones that classify themselves as this stuff that they think that, yeah, that's what they are. Listen carefully. She doesn't even know what she's saying, but she knows what she's saying.
Right.
And let me say this, and I'll try to say this with love, but I say it because it's how I feel.
No, say this with what? What's the Moorish principle again? The first principle that the Moor is supposed to live by and all that stuff? All right.
Love.
Oh. Hey, doesn't she have the little acorn on top of the head right now, just like they used to do in Kemet, and the acorn representing the pineal gland being open, and then you know stuff now and know thyself above the temple door, now you could enter because you know what's up. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
And let me say this, and I'll try to say this with love, but I say it because it's how I feel. I've never met so many cowards in our black men in show business. I've never met so many black men that have no goddamn backbone. What happens in our community, they've got us chasing the bag and not principle and not integrity.
Oh, what noble drawl you tell the Moors that makes a man? It's not what? What doesn't make the man? Oh, it's what? What makes the man? Free national standards. Standards are principles. If you want to play dumb, you want to play dumb. Like you don't know what Noble Drawley is saying when he said national standards. You keep playing dumb. And remember, we told you, King Alfred Plan, all minority leaders, whether they're in show business, whether they're in politics, whether they're in education, wherever they're at, they will be unseated at once.
Yep.
You're thinking only government could unseat somebody. Oh, here's Mother unseating all these Negroes who you've been chasing around watching their show and all that stuff, giving them ratings while they're helping somebody enslave you. And then the mother, whose nickname is Mo, and then you could just go to DC and then talk to the people there. Well, Mo, where'd Mo come from? What is that? And all that stuff, and see why they say Mo. You're not Mo hyphen Neek for nothing.
Absolutely.
So we know Mo is short for more. We know that. Everybody knows when you it's all Mo. It's all Mo. It's all Mo. Peace, Mo. Everybody knows Mo is short for more.
Yeah.
But Mo didn't have two other stooges with him, so don't get it effed up. Please don't get it effed up. Because the real Mo is a Moor. Real Mo's a Moor. And the minority leaders are being unseated by anybody who has some level of competence. All they gotta do is just say it, and it is. Doesn't matter if people follow or not. I think we all know people are dumb, but you just trust that it was said, and you can't play like it wasn't said. Because thank you to Comedy Hype, they got the 1 million views of her calling out all these niggers, all of them. I don't think she said one name. She's only talking about that guy. She's talking about all of them, and they have been unseated. All of them supposed to be, all their stocks supposed to crash, and they're supposed to be nobodies right now because Mother said, but no, you guys lost your standards and your principles. You don't listen to Mother. You're the man. You're some European-minded, patriarchal, conscious people. You don't tell me that you calling her queen or whatever like that. You're giving her honors. F you. So you know queen means prostitute. F-O-H, about queen. Lucky we didn't have time calling Mother queen. So lucky we didn't have time. Oh, you're so lucky.
Yep.
And you're talking like we don't know what's up. That we're dumb. Excuse yourself and then come back and say queen again 2 times. Playing games. Because I mean, I don't know you guys know etymology. We've seen the classes and stuff like that. Right? So, but we're not even going there. So she's calling out all these sellouts. She's calling them all out. As far as the entertainment, whoever's, you know what I mean? The shuck and drive niggas, paint their face, wear a dress niggas. She called all of them out. Where they at right now? Oh, yep, they're still out their show. You know what I mean? Called out Leonard, what is it? Leonard? The hell, huh? Call them all out.
Leonard.
You can call them by their straw. Call them by their straw, call them out. Drag them out. You playing around. What do you think this is? Mother, again, speaking, slapping them, just lining them up and slapping them. Just like Mo.
Yep.
Just like Mo without Curly and Larry. Slapping them. Slapping them.
Yep. And to add on, in the real quick, in the online etymology dictionary that they use, it even tells you Mo, definition of Mo. I'm gonna get it right. Mo representing African American vernacular pronunciation of Moor. By 1902, it was an acceptable variant form of Moor in the Middle Ages and has roots in Old English. See Moor. They spell Moor M-O-R-E.
No,
But
you know what they mean.
Representing African American vernacular.
Right? And you already know African American came in the 60s. So they can't be talking about no African American vernacular relative to Mo, which is for Old English or whatever. There was no African Americans during the time of Old English.
No, absolutely not.
There were zero African Americans. Not one African American existed during the time of the usage of the word Mo or the name Mo. Zero African Americans. So who were these people then? If there were no such thing as African Americans during that time. And then in the definition, they're gonna go tell you see more. And then they say M-O-R-E. Then your dumbass is thinking about quantity. Because M-O-R-E, that's can't be anything else, or it could be more. Could be a little bit more than you thought it could have been. Anyways, let's get back to the mother.
Because when all of that start hitting and all that stuff going on, I heard my brother with my own ears say, she's burned too many bridges. And I don't know if there's anything I can do for her. And that hurt my feelings because I'm like, brother, you never pick up the phone and say, hey, Mo, what's going on?
And then keep in mind that all the individuals who took the check are the ones who have the fame. All the individuals who were free speakers were the ones who, how come, think about this, like Europeans rep some George Carlin. Europeans rep him. He's not a comedian. He's a conspiracy theorist that tells jokes. Because he had serious jokes. The Europeans rep him. He's honored as their greats as far as the politically conscious comedians. He's up there on some William Cooper and all that. Because he was breaking down barriers as far as free speech and constitutional rights and all that stuff for some Europeans, but using comedy. Just go listen to his stuff. No damn comedian. He was a revolutionary for Europeans, using comedy as the way that he's going to get that message to them. Using comedy. And then you have people on our side who, they came up with certain people. They used to go to the same little rat trap place to go do a little comedy in front of nobodies. And then now you're big time. You can't make a phone call. You can't even call and say what's up. Now you can't even swing by one day. You know what I mean? The address is the same since we were in kindergarten. Just what she's saying, that people lose their integrity, just like in the Moorish movement, where there was fame and nobility, and people lost their goddamn mind. And they're playing like they're some type of whatever because they have grand in front of their name. or their appellation or their title or whatever. Oh, they got supreme national grant in front of their stuff. That means that they're somebody. These people have no morals and no principles. And they strayed away from where they're supposed to actually be. But the sellout is real. And there's also karma, which is why all of them are getting unseated at once, getting dragged out the court. You're not going to play that you're limp and we're going to sit here waiting on you. We will drag you out. And forget about all the racist BS. So they're full of BS. Oh yeah, speaking about that, like we said, all these sellouts are going to be unseated at once. Remember this church guy. Remember this church guy. This Jesus guy.
What's all this for? What's all what for? This information. Are you serious? Yeah, I'm asking. I mean, what do you mean? She was assaulted by this lady. Wouldn't you think that if I completed a police report, I would put the victim in there? No, just ask. I can have the right to. You have the right to ask, but you're also interfering with my investigation. So I'm going to ask you to step aside now, please. I don't. You're going to step aside because I'm trying to get an interview here, and you're interfering with that. Then you're going to be arrested. Arrest me. Okay. Sarge. You really needs to come to all this?
I asked what was that for. They're from out of town. They're guests.
Yeah, and I'm taking care of it.
I just asked.
And you're interfering with me talking to these people right now.
You're out of
You
town.
have to.
Yeah,
We don't want to press charges.
Yeah, but I still have to. Will you stop? I'm trying to talk to them and see what happened and get this figured out. Yeah, I'm ready to hit you. I'm pointing. I need you to step back. You don't like it? If you keep resisting, you're going to go to jail. I need you to stay on this side of the street. You're not welcome over here while I'm doing my investigation. I understand that you don't want to press charges, but I still have to put it down because she's getting charges pressed against her. Get in the car. Get in the car. Step up, dude. I'm trying. Okay, I'm trying to step up. Go ahead. He's good.
That girl is mentally sick. She was out here listening. Pastor, you got to get out of here, but we need you. So cooperate, okay? We handle this.
Don't tell me to cooperate. I didn't do anything. No. You tell them to stop being. This is called racism. Don't tell me to cooperate. Don't tell me to cooperate. You tell him to act right. Don't tell me to cooperate. I didn't do anything. I asked him why was he taking the address of a woman from Virginia. What was the point of that? They're not pressing charges. I asked a simple question. Don't you ever tell me that. You need to tell him. What y'all need to do is y'all need to open this door. That's what y'all need to do. Y'all need to open this door. That's what y'all need to do. Y'all the scaredest I ever seen in my life.
He said he might let you go.
I don't. He ain't no fucking Mike.
I know.
If he don't fucking let me out this car, it's gonna be a problem. Y'all just gonna let this cracker do this?
No.
Really?
No.
This time, yeah. You need to call the mayor.
Unseated at once. Playing around with fame and nobility? Oh, you thought you're somebody because you're the pastor of the mega church or of the Jesus Christ, whatever. No, you're a nigger just like these people. Get in the damn truck, nigger. Shut the hell up. Shut the hell up. Where's your Jesus? How come Jesus didn't strike this guy right now with some lightning or something like that for messing with his #1 guy who brought in 30 million last year for the church? How come? How come Jesus didn't throw a brick from across the way and hit this dude? Oh, you want to play metaphysical? Okay, well, how come the sun didn't heat up at that time when he touched God's chosen messenger or whatever like that? How come the sun didn't get so hot, make this European say, oh my gosh, I can't even touch him or whatever. Where's the coverage? Find some shade. No, nothing. God didn't help. Oh, and then after sellout goes wrong, now these people are niggers and they're cowards and stuff like that. And, you know, they're going to let this cracker hold you in this car. They should open the door. When they will open the door. Jesus just didn't help you. What are they jumping in to do what? If you're the number one guy, Jesus didn't come and help you when you were getting kidnapped by these people for doing some BS, trying to show you're the man. You're not no man. You're a minority leader. King Alfred Plan says you will be unseated at once. That's what you are. Keep playing, you want to be minority. And then minority, keep playing that you want to be following these people who they're letting you know their time's up. How is it that he got physically removed, told to stay on that side of the street, right, which is notice, and he came again or whatever like that? Remember, he's the man. He's the guy. He's the mega church guy. Now everything's out the window now. He's cussing and all that stuff. Calling people cracker and whatever. Call the mayor. What's the mayor gonna do? What are you calling the mayor? Mayor's part. Oh yeah, that's who you registered the stuff with, so that the people. That's why you call the mayor. Okay, got you, pastor guy. But you're a minority leader, so forget how much handoffs you gave to the mayor from all these finance. How much was it that mom's got from the thing?
Yeah, that was crazy. 3 years for paying her tithes on time. A certificate. And I told you, when you was here, I said, oh, every time I talk, I'm like, my mom do everybody's here. My mom do everybody's here. So you can imagine, my mom, 10% ain't, 10% of 500 notes. It's not.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's something crazy. And that's what she's giving. She was giving that for 10% for 3 years straight. I talked to my mom earlier today. Now she's on some, telling everybody, it's all a business. It's all telling everybody. Don't nobody want to talk to my mom no more. It's just a business. It's all a business. She telling them, it say business on the front of the door. It say business hours. It don't say church hours. She's saying it all. Killing them now.
Killing them. Mother is unseating them all. So all the mothers, take notes. Even the Negro black color or whatever like that, they're waking up and they're saying, forget this BS. They're waking up. So imagine if you mothers who know about your nationality and birthrights and stuff, you start waking up. And you start speaking that gospel that your prophet gave you to save the nation, because he's holding you in the arms. You ain't worried about no Moors. Moors are drowning in the cares of the world or whatever. Prophet brought up one sister. Forget y'all. Brought up one mother. Put her on the solid rock of salvation, so that the nation could rise again and not be treated like these minority leaders who are being unseated right now. And really being unseated. They're actually being unseated. There's a lot more. You have anything to add on?
Yeah, I'm reading right now, right? King Alfred Plan, right? Because we keep saying all minority leaders must be unseated at once. So I be forgetting. Sometimes I forget it's deeper than we think it is. You know, it says on page, okay, it's put together. Page 6, it says in the preliminary memo, the Department of Interior, it says, in case of emergency, minority members will be evacuated from the cities by federalized National Guard units, local and state police, and if necessary by units of regular armed forces, using public and military transportation, and detained in nearby military installations until further course of actions has been decided. Because all of those so-called jails and holdings that they put, those are military installations. They're not jails or whatever. That's all because we're under colonization. We're prisoners of war. Those are military installations that they putting minority members in until further notice. And then on the next page, it starts breaking down. It says there are 12 major minority organizations, and they're all familiar to the 22 million. Dossiers have been compiled on the leaders of the organizations and can be studied in Washington. The material contained in many of the dossiers and our threat to reveal that material has considerably held in check the activities of some of the leaders. Leaders who do not have such usable material in their dossiers have been approached to take government posts, mostly as ambassadors and primarily in African countries. The promise of these positions also has materially contributed to a temporary slowdown of minority activities. However, we do not expect these slowdowns to be of long duration because there are always new and descended elements joining these organizations with the potential power to replace the old leaders. All organizations and their leaders are under constant 24-hour surveillance. The organizations are the Black Muslims, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, the Congress of Racial Equality, the Uhuru Movement, Group on Advancement Leadership, Freedom Now Party, United Black Nationalists of America, the New Pan-African Movement, the National Urban League, the NAACP, and the Committee on Racial Religious Progress. Like, when you say all minority leaders must be removed at once, they got the whole breakdown. They know what's going on. They know who's what, where's what, everything. So when we're watching the video, it says, no, all the appropriate time to be designated by the president, the leaders of some of these organizations are to be detained only when it is clear that they cannot prevent the emergency. What's the emergency? The emergency is us waking up, proclaiming our nationality. That's the emergency. And that's why when we're looking at all these people getting unseated at once, it's because the Moors is waking up. One Moor sent out, where she was telling me, sent out like 55 letters over there in Wisconsin, so-called Wisconsin, putting all these people on notice. Moors is waking up, and people unseated at once. It continues. It says, working with local public officials during the first critical hours. It says, all other leaders are to be detained at once. So it's not like, we just saying it. It's really in the King Alpha plan. All other leaders are to be detained at once. Compiled lists of minority leaders have been ready at the National Data Computer Center. It is necessary to use the minority leaders designated by the president in much the same manner in which we use minority members who are agents with central and federal. And we cannot, until there is no alternative, reveal King Alfred in all its aspects. Minority members of Congress will be unseated at once. the move is not without precedent in American history. We're in it. King Alfred, we're in the King Alfred plan. We're watching it. We're in it. I love how the Green Sheet started with the post before, with the dude getting, I don't even know where he was at. The sellout Moore, I think he was some type of politician.
Yeah, the pastor man.
Oh, he was that was a pastor?
When he got put in the car?
When he was in the building?
When he was in the?
Yeah, he was inside of a building and then they took him outside. And the European ladies was in there trying to stand up for him. Is that the video?
No. The one I just played was the pastor man in the car. The pastor man outside trying to defend some sisters or whatever.
No, you had posted another one like a week ago. Almost 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay, no. That wasn't the one I just played though.
All minority members of Congress will be unseated at once. All other leaders are to be detained at once. They're dragging them out of the court. It's getting, and like you said, all of them, entertainers, sellout entertainer guys, it all unseated at once. Steve Harvey his show was the 4th highest rated show on TV. That's a leader guy. He's the 4th leader. That's the leading.
Yep,
that's
a
leading
leader
right there.
That's a leader guy for sure.
And all he did was black everything. Everything black. Everything. It wasn't working. He couldn't prevent the emergency. The emergency is these people proclaiming their nationality. Your 4th highest rating show is not working. The black stuff that you're trying to promote, yeah, it's not working. You're unseated. And they detaining them either in military installations or financially.
Yeah.
You just went from 4th highest rating show to no job. No job. Nothing.
And they didn't even bring in the sex tape yet.
Say that again?
They didn't even bring in the sex tape yet.
Right.
Before you went on the air and you said to millions of listeners, she's burned too many bridges. You were a part of pushing that agenda before you even asked me what was going on. So when I got on the show, I knew I needed to have that conversation because you wasn't returning my calls. You wasn't returning my texts. See, I gave you the opportunity to have a private, when people say, why didn't you talk to him privately? I gave him the opportunity to do that. My texts and my calls went unanswered and unreturned. And someone would say, well, why wouldn't you return it? If you put out there that we have this relationship and this friendship, but when it came about, oh, you're going against the powers that be, and I want the powers to be that no, I'm not on that side. So
she's dropping it, huh? People are freaking just blowing past this like she's not dropping it on them. They're acting like she's not dropping it on all their heads. Anvil falling from 150 feet on your head because you violated. And you violated for a bag. You didn't violate for something good. You didn't violate to say, well, yo, you know what? I pushed you in front of the truck because we had a whole nation to save, yo. Like, you know what I mean? If I didn't push you in front of the truck, then everybody would have been gone. I just pushed you in front of the truck because The Europeans said, hey, here's a bag. Same European who came up calling cracker and all that stuff, talking about, you know, we need to do our own black comedy, whatever, because the Europeans are stopping us from doing the whatever. Now that you made it, now you forgot about all that stuff? And honors to her for having the courage for coming out and talking about these sellouts. That's like the Moor was saying at the lecture. Hey, it's a dangerous job. You got to tell the truth or whatever. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But it is what it is. This ain't about bags. It's about liberating these dumbasses who don't want to be liberated. Praise Allah, there's 5 or 6 out there who do.
Yeah. So when against the powers that be.
Yep. Yeah, we'll rewind that. We'll rewind that little part again. Hold on. Let's rewind that and so I give you a better intro.
Oh, you're going against the powers that be, and I want the powers to be that know. I would say, well, why wouldn't you return it? If you put out there that we have this relationship and this friendship, but when it came about, oh, you're going against the powers that be, and I want the powers to be that know, I'm not on that side.
Go ahead, Warren.
And that's the whole, and that's, we all know what the powers that be is. We all know what side that is. Like, you can't just skip over that. We all know when they say the powers that be, we're talking somebody done took, like the Grand Sheik said, took the bag, but done took the oath and took the bag. They took the oath and took the bag. Because that's what the whole thing is about. She just said it. You took the oath. You took the bag. You went against the powers that be. He tried to. Just because he went, because of, look, like, okay, the whole Masonic thing now is for materialistic. They do everything for the materialistic, for the so-called heavenly way of in the physical and the want of now stuff. That's what they do. That's their whole thing, is the want of riches in the physical. Nothing really spiritual.
Nothing spiritual.
They deal with materialistic and whatever I have to do to stay in that position, to be number one, I'm the guy. That's the whole thing right now. That's what the top guy is about now. And when you give up everything, like, I wish people would get this book. It's called the Satan Summit. The stuff that
say that again. You broke up a little bit. Say that again. The title.
The name of the book is called The Satan Summit. The Satan Summit, Seller, by Mike Warnke. Last name Warnke. And he goes in. It's a former Satanist high priest reveals the demonic forces behind the fastest growing, the most deadly occult religion in the world. These oath-taking people are going crazy. The things that they're doing to keep, because the whole game is to get the materialistic thing. They don't even care about the secret, about the Moors are the ones like that. Only reason why that is effective is because that affects their materialistic game. With us getting our ancestral estate, they can't be looked at as the guy anymore, because it's not about that anymore.
Yeah.
All of that goes away. You're not the number 4 guy and nothing, number 1 guy and nothing. All of that goes away. There is no leaders. It's like in their realm, because they're playing games. They want to be the leader when it's just look at me. Like, and they get the book, The Satan Summit. Please get that book, because he goes in and he tells you everything that these people go through. I'm talking about one of the guys. One of the rituals that they did was he had a lock. They had a pinch lock around the back of the neck area, where I forgot what's that called. Right behind the neck. I forgot. It's a chakra or something like that. They call it. It's right behind the neck. But they have it pinched up, locked up for 2 weeks. They have it pinched in a lock. They can't remove it for 2 weeks until the ritual of them getting accepted into the robes and stuff. And in the book, one of the rituals that all of your Mason guys go through that he speaks of is with this holy water. Well, we all know that they have to get naked and they have to kneel in front of the altar, but they get this holy water splashed on them during the ritual as well. Mike Warnke explains that when he got the ritual performed on him after so many years being in it, the holy water he found out was really just urine from the high priest of the lodge or whatever. So when they did the ritual, they was just sprinkling urine on the new brother guy coming in. All of these Mason guys went, and I'm looking at the book and I'm like, so this is what they go through?
This is what they want to get.
So they can.
R. Kelly.
Exactly. And that right there bugged me out because I was like, yo, that's no ritual, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. Because if that was, and then you see why they're going after him right now, because you put the ritual in the open, you let it get out on tape that you were recording the ritual.
Yeah.
Because you know where he was in the industry or whatever like that. He had a Leah and shit. He was a high priest. What do you mean?
Yep.
Still is.
Yep.
They ain't caught him yet.
That's why they can't do nothing. That's why they can't do nothing. Nobody else can do something like that and not go to jail forever and get beat up and all of that in jail. Like, he couldn't do that, none of that. No regular person couldn't do that.
Yep.
Only someone in some type of position.
Yeah.
Only a high priest. Only, what is it? A Satanist high priest. According to Mike Warnke, that's what they are. They're Satanist high priests. These people, we know that metaphysically, Satan is really Saturn. But the way Mike Warnke presents it as, remember, when these people come into Masonry, majority of the people's background is Christian, Catholic, Islam, dogma. So when they come in the first degrees, he was saying how their rituals, they have to pronounce like their demonic worshiping of Satan. But these people come in, like the way he explains it, you have no idea that in the metaphysical realm that Satan is really Saturn. So when you're saying it in the beginning in your first degrees, you're really thinking dogma of the real Satan guy. Yeah. So when you're saying that you are giving it up to the demon side, and even though metaphysically this is what it is, you really would say that and do that. Like that bugged me out. Like I was like, wow. Like that's how evil people really are. Like that's what it is. They're like, it's the people that's the evil. Like it's not.
Yeah, it's not something
coming
something.
Out. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. It's them.
The intentions.
They are the one. Exactly.
Yeah, the intentions is the devil.
Yep.
You know, the Satan.
And they would, that's the whole thing. And it was for a materialistic gain. Exactly. The whole thing is materialistic gain.
That's what lets you know.
And he said it too. The whole realm of, and after he was like, when you get your first degree, and like when he got his robe, he looked up and he saw the guy in front of him. He had like a robe, but he had more memorabilia on it. And next thing he's thinking like, how do I get that? He said, you already have the mindset of, yeah, but you just completed your first degree, which is a great thing, but you already have the next degree thing on your mind. Yeah. Like, I was like, yo, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like that, with the materialistic gain is real ritualistic.
Which
what
is
they're
real
doing.
Witch, that's the real witchcraft right there.
Right. That's
Getting
exactly
you,
what it is called.
getting you to.
They call it. What was it? So mote it be.
Yeah.
So people should write that. So they call it so mote it be, and then when you go look up what that is, that's what a lot of Masons. Every time they say their ritualistic stuff, they say so mote it be at the end. They're doing witchcraft.
That's their ashe. That's their hallelujah. That's their amen. That's their, you know what I mean, signature at the end of the prayer so that their stuff is going to manifest. Because everything's ritualistic.
Right. Like the master teacher said, people are so asleep. We're dealing with sorcery.
The sorcerers did a good job. The sorcerers did a good job on our people.
They did a great job.
But sorcery doesn't last forever.
Nope.
So I'm going to say what it's going to take for them to know I'm with the machine. I'm not about equality. I'm not about what's right and what's fair. So when I went on the Steve Harvey show, I knew the conversation I was going to have with my brother. I didn't know the conversation he was going to have back with me.
He said something. He was on D.L. Hughley's new show.
Yes.
Did you guys kind of see the conversation?
Yes.
He mentioned that he edited the interview to protect you.
Yes.
What didn't we see in that interview?
Tell them what they didn't see.
Well, let me say this. When I watched Steve on the D.L. Hughley show make that comment, and see, I'm trying to learn how to not take things personally, okay? That's the Sagittarian in me, because we fight and we be like, who that nigga talking to? But I'm trying. And when I saw him say...
Yeah. So you know the science. So you done gave 2 clues already.
Gave it up. Gave it up, yo. Gave it up. You know the science? You know the science, like, let me just put my finger under my nose right now and not punch you in the goddamn face talking crazy.
Yep.
Actually, let's just pull that one up again, because that was a good one. That was a good one.
Did you guys kind of see the conversation?
Yeah.
He mentioned that he edited the interview to protect you.
Yes.
What didn't we see in that interview?
Tell them what they didn't see.
Well, let me say this. When I watched Steve on the D.L. Hughley show make that comment, and see, I'm trying to learn how to not take things personally, okay? That's the Sagittarian in me, because we fight and we be like, who that nigga talking to? But I'm trying. And when I saw him say,
oh my gosh. Right? Knows the science. She knows that it's fire. Knows the stuff. Remember, has the bun on the top of the head, which is really the acorn. Go check the ancient Kemetic pictures. Or you can go check the Kudro Adwa'el in Philly lecture, and we show some of it in there. Has the bun on the top, representing the little fez. Pineal, open.
Yeah.
I'm not these people's nigger anymore. More African print and stuff like that now. Hindu print. Forget these people. Because it's been going on, you know what I mean? Certain people are just getting on the wave now. But it's been going on. We've been seeing it going on 10, 11 years. We've been seeing it going on. Like the real wake up, not the fake wake up that we found out that we're African kings and all that BS. Not that crap wake up. The real wake up. And we know that we have a birthright. It's on.
I had to edit things out to protect Monique. Well, I said air the whole interview because there's nothing I said that needed protection. But what you said was, yeah, I'm pissed that these white boys gonna do me like that. And them white boys were supposed to call me, and them white boys and them white boys. Well, all of that got edited out. Why didn't you air that? Because there's nothing. And when he said, I would have appreciated had them white boys called me up and told me what was going on. I said, oh, like I would have appreciated had you called me up before you went on the air to millions and told them about the bridges I burned. So see.
Well, how said? Well, how said? Chickens come home to roost.
Yeah.
The sellout is real. The sellout is real. Letting you know who his handlers are. Editing stuff out. Editing stuff out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What are they editing for? Why you gotta edit like that? You can take stuff out. But it has to be done because these people have no integrity. Remember, she's not small time. She got awards and stuff. She's not a nobody. She's got awards. So we're not hearing what she's saying. Automatic, like off the top, hear what she's saying. Think she's just, oh, this is some Steve Harvey's thing or whatever? Not about him. But all these people selling you out. And you have prominent people who got awards and stuff now coming out telling you. Yeah, you know, these people selling you out. They edited the stuff talking about the Europeans funding them and all that type of stuff, and you're still sitting there. Oh, you don't get it yet. You don't get what's really going on yet. Okay, all right. Keep playing.
When you have people that say things like, oh, I was protecting her, well, then DL should have said, brother, what is it that she said?
Oh, wait a minute. Why didn't DL say nothing?
Brought in the other one now.
See, because, and let me say this, and I'll try to say this with love, but I say it because it's how I feel. I've never met so many cowards and our black men in show business. I've never met so many black men that have no goddamn backbone. And that bothers me. Because y'all know when the cameras aren't running, see, I know these people when the cameras aren't running. And that's what I look at my brother and I say, how dare you, Steve?
And the irony is the same stick that he was pointing at Monique and trying to beat her with by stating she did not understand the business. Shortly thereafter was the same stick that they beat him with when they took away both of his shows. Because though he may have edited out the comments about the white boys heard the comments that he made. That was, well, I think it was a dual aspect of it. What you can't call Steve is lazy. He's a hard worker, and he puts it in. And everything that he attained, he deserved. Can't take that away. What you can't call him is not a smart business person because he formed a deal with IMG in order to have ownership over his show. Well, when they realize that you got ownership of your show and you a number 4 show in all daytime, that's a winning formula. You win it. To remove that says to people at large, it doesn't matter how much you're winning and we can't be at a piece of it, and you a person of color too, we're going to remove you from the scene. So he is a man that said.
Remember, this is inside, they're telling you. So they're looking at him as a person of color. Oh, so that means that he's in their jurisdiction, regardless of what. Because you still have to come to us to put your show out. You're not using your own cameras and shit. You still got to come to our studio to do your show. And again, it goes back to the same thing, that if these people didn't sell out from the jump and did what they know that they were supposed to do for the prosperity of quote unquote black whatever in entertainment and all that stuff, everything would have been ours. You didn't have any Europeans in there.
Yeah.
And if they were, they're not playing no, they're some head of something. Head of what? Head of janitorial services or something.
Mm-hmm.
Not no head of anything that's prosperous. Remember, he did a deal. He had control of his stuff, but the Europeans ain't gonna let that last so long if you're colored to them. Eventually, when you see you getting a little bit too high to be on some Forbes list or whatever, cut you down. Don't try to do what Bill Cosby did, because you already know how that went. Stop playing. And they shut these people down quick, fast. 2 shows this man lost. Just like that. Bam. Done. Right? Because what? They chased the bag. Sold out. Okay, how hard of a worker are you? Yeah, you work hard to sell out? What the hell? What is your hard work means nothing then? If you work out to sell out your sister, who you could have just made a phone call and maybe put your finance together and do some black actor or whatever. And they were talking about some serious ones too, because they were also talking about the whole thing with, I can't remember if it's in this one or one of the other ones, with the Kings of Comedy and the Queens of Comedy, and the Queens of Comedy was a bust compared to the Kings of Comedy or whatever. Because this is a patriarchal society. They don't respect the matriarch. They don't have honor for the matriarch in a patriarchal colonial system that has the people under patriarchal colonial mindsets. Everything they're going to do is for the patriarchal system, not the matriarchal. Everything they do, even if they do it under the guise of matriarch, it's still going to the patriarch. These people's mindset.
Said to the world, you need to do it the right way, and I know the right way to do it. Yet in him doing it, what he thought was the proverbial right way, look at the outcome. And he is an individual who said, I know the right way to do it too, and that's to stand up for equality. But the outcome was the same thing. They both cast you to the side. You try to do it their way, and you didn't do it their way. You just dealt with it from an integral standpoint. Then, when all of it's gone, you have to ask yourself, can you live with yourself for doing it the right way versus playing by their rules and doing it the wrong way, and you still have the same results?
When I think about, we just mentioned Lee, well, like previously, we're talking about Mr. Harvey now. Paul Mooney has this bit called the nigga wake up call. You guys familiar with that?
Of course.
Is this the nigga wake up call moment?
You gotta ask Paul Mooney.
You gotta ask Steve.
You gotta ask Steve. You gotta ask Lee. You gotta ask Oprah. You gotta ask Tyler. You gotta ask him, when was your nigga wake up call moment?
Steve came back out and it seemed like he kind of regretted some of the stuff that he was saying, or at least the stuff that got out. He was talking to DL and he felt like he learned his lesson from that. I guess I'm just kind of hinting how the tide kind of turned in a sense.
Eventually, who you are will always shine through.
Yeah.
It may take a day. It may take years. Eventually, who you are is going to shine through. And I'm not saying people don't make mistakes. Let me be clear. We can make mistakes. We can say things and we say.
I heard that before. That's the whole thing. That's the know thyself. That's the whole. That's no. It can be tomorrow. It can be years from now. But you gonna know thyself.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing with the prophet said coming back to teach the people how to be themselves. That's the whole thing. She said eventually the real you gonna shine through. Prophet said I came back to teach the people how to be themselves. And then Monique just confirmed it. The real you gonna shine through. No matter how long it takes. It don't matter. You got to keep coming back. Whatever. You're going to learn. You're going to learn. You're going to learn. And that still goes back. Nationality being the order of the day. The real you going to shine through. No matter how long you keep fighting, you're black, Aboriginal, indigenous, whatever. The real you going to shine through.
The real you.
No matter how long it takes.
Yep. There might be some forget years. Let's say lifetimes. It's gonna happen. The real you is going to definitely shine through.
Yep.
But we'll really be ready. Will they be ready? It's gonna be blinding. The real you better be ready to accept the fact that it's been you the whole time.
Oh, you know what? If I could get a do-over, or let me apologize for it, let me humbly admit to what I was wrong. But what I find in a lot of us is I got a hard time saying I'm sorry. I can't say I'm wrong because I'm almighty powerful. I'm Mother Nature. I'm Mother Earth. I'm the Christian of all Christians. So you watch these people.
She's giving you she dropped another one right there. She knows the science. She knows everybody playing these I'm so conscious, whatever games.
Yep.
She knows the whole thing.
Holier than thou. Or the priesthood is dead.
Yep.
Why is everybody trying to be a priest when the priesthood is dead? Oh, we're gonna revive the priesthood. Oh, really? Okay. There's a big ego there. Huge ego. We revive some dead priesthood.
And then you watch our community say, oh yeah, it's just about the bag. Don't worry about your integrity. And that's the part when I say, y'all, but don't you see we're failing like that? We're failing, we're crumbling, worrying about the bag and not the integrity. And there's a book that our good brother, oh God, his name is on the tip of my tongue, and he would hit me in my head, Louis Gossett. And he wrote a book, and he said, what Hollywood knows about us is what one nigga won't do, another nigga will. That's why they know there'll always be niggas that'll take less in Hollywood. Knows about us is what one nigga won't do, another nigga will. That's why they know there'll always be niggas that'll take less in Hollywood. Don't you see we're failing like that? We're failing, we're crumbling, worrying about the bag and not the integrity. And there's a book that our good brother, oh God, his name is on the tip of my tongue, and he would hit me in my head, Louis Gossett. And he wrote a book, and he said, what Hollywood knows about us is what one nigga won't do, another nigga will. That's why they know that.
Yo, brought the thought off her tongue.
She hit herself and made it
brought the thought off her tongue.
Yo, you see that? It just hit me in the head and it came out. She did the whole action. You can see it in her eyes.
Yeah. Did the ritual. Right there. Don't be surprised she's a witch and stuff like that. Don't be surprised. Just like certain favorite people's football MVP quarterback guy, his wife is a witch. That's why he can win so much stuff. Don't be fooled. Don't think that people are, they like to tell jokes. They don't know what the hell's going on. She already put you hip to some astrology. Put you on some serious game on some astrology. Right? She's speaking metaphysical, or she's made metaphysical statements. Her attire. Expressing.
Went through listed all the religion stuff.
Shut down every religion.
Told you. And she went through the whole thing. She told you, I know about all of that. All of that. You so nature, you so Christian. She went through the whole thing. Told you about astrology, like the Grand Chief said. She said all the science. She said it all. You think these people don't know? And then told you went against the powers that be. Okay. She's talking like a Moor too much now. She said everything we be saying. Everything. Everything. These people know what's going on. Know what's going on.
And all they're trying to do is put your dumb ass on. But you don't want to. You think this is about some entertainment or whatever.
There'll always be niggas that'll take less in Hollywood.
Yeah, like you said, it is a lack of backbone, even in our experience.
Let's face it, life kind of sucks. Maybe you're in college, studying something you don't care about.
And to be arrogant is not the same as to be a bad person. You're just arrogant. And being a white person who is arrogant versus a black person who is arrogant, it's a different level of, if you will, wrong.
It's two different extremes.
It's two different extremes because it then bleeds into you as if you were a bad person. See, when Steve wrote the letter saying he's tired of people just walking into his room without knocking, that's what they do. And that's a fair assessment because we learned from walking in on mommy and daddy one too many times when they was in the mix without knocking. If you don't knock on the door before you come in, it's a problem. And what he was saying was fair, but he started to grow. We were told by an executive one time, as if Steve was just a fluke and he hadn't been a hard worker, that what he was experiencing just was a perfect storm. No, he earned that. He's skilled at what it is that he's doing, and you can't take it away from him. And the reason why we do Monique and Sydney's open relationship and the reason why we talk in the manner that we do is because we want to be clear. You can address what someone is doing without trying to tear that person down as if they are bad folks. You know what I mean? Which I don't believe Steve to be a bad guy because he wouldn't take the young men that he takes every summer to the side and try to mentor them. Right? Most people might not even know about that. But what happens is if you're surrounded by people because you're a man who can't say, hey, dog, you're tripping, then you don't have anybody that you can bounce things off of, and you begin to start leading with your head from a standpoint of arrogance and not from a standpoint of logic.
Just like the people who are telling you more science temple could make you a Moor, and don't go to that website because those are renegade Moors, and They're street Moors, and they haven't been to the temple. And what do they know about temple if they're drunk off the arrogance? Drunk. Like, you know how many Moors have told me that they can't even reach a Grand Sheik on a phone? They live where the temple's at, and they'll get me before their Grand Sheik. They'll put their number on nationality cards as emergency numbers, and then you call them and you leaving a message? You mean leaving a message? Because people have been playing around. People took your birthright, that's supposed to be yours, playing games with you to have you not want or care about or pursue your birthrights. You think that that's some religious whatever. It's people who have the same arrogance complex that caused that perspective to be floating out there. Have people not even really realizing that they're getting played. Like they're so lost in the illusion of consciousness or illusion of know thyself or what that is, that they're getting played, don't even know that they're getting played. Like, when when your little brother or sister, they sleep bad and they might have that messed up position, foot in your face or something like that, and you have to wake them up and they don't get up.
Mm-hmm.
They sleep dead. They sleep dead sleep like you could slap box with them. They're not waking up. Right? But you plug their nose, they'll wake up quick fast.
Quick fast.
Right? This is the sleep our people are under. Dead sleep. Dead sleep. The priesthood is dead, and all minority leaders will be unseated at once. All minority leaders.
I'm in La Mesa right now. You see this officer right now? Right now, he does not have his lights on. You cannot touch me. You cannot touch me. Sit down. Sir, can you call the police? Sit down. You cannot touch me. You cannot touch me. You see this? You cannot touch me. You cannot touch me. You cannot touch me. You see that?
Look at him.
Department, can you call the police, please?
Robert Branch says he was angry and afraid last Tuesday. It all started as he was getting on the 8th freeway from 2nd in El Cajon on his way to work as a security guard. As he passed the blue Ford Fusion in front of him, he says the driver tried to force him off the road.
Dirt, we stop outside now. We're literally side by side. So I start taking a speed, just to get back on the freeway.
Branch took off, says he didn't see the blue car again until he got off at College and pulled onto a side street.
He parks behind me, gets out his vehicle.
Branch says he was suspicious, so he turned on his cell phone.
Look at right now, I'm in La Mesa right now. You see this officer right now?
The situation escalated.
You cannot touch me.
Quickly. Branch says he passed out, and when he came to,
so I started defending myself, pushing, and I'm saying some words, and because I'm outraged, I'm mad, because you shouldn't do that.
Branch was jailed and charged with resisting arrest, obstructing justice, and reckless driving.
Good morning.
Yo. Okay. Yeah, this is when you're saying all minority leaders. You want to play security side? You want to play, oh, I want to be like them, but not all the way? It's like, you're a security guard. You work for the other side as black guy. No status, no nothing. And then you working for the other side. All minority leaders must be unseated at once. And the whole thing, he's security guard. He's sitting here looking like, remember the movie Friday or whatever? Craig and Day getting choked out. We got to get choked out. Like when Day said, I'll die for this shit too. He getting choked out. About to literally die for that. Die for that. Like, come on, man. Cut that out. He's trying to make it seem like he was being professional. He has his security uniform on. Brother, ain't none of that. It's Spanish Inquisition. He's choking you out. You work for the other side. And Europeans know. Don't think that Masonic member doesn't know that you're more. You're looking like a Morisco. Now, when you write the history, that's a Morisco. When you read ancient history, that would be a Morisco. Mm-hmm. Working for the other side. When they was like, okay, I'm gonna convert. I'm gonna be Morisco. I'm gonna work for the other side, and then because I'm doing that, y'all gonna leave me alone. I'm gonna be fine. Nope, they did them even worse.
Exactly. Just because they're so low.
Exactly. The whole thing. The Moors who left the first time, when they said all Moors leave, when they kicked us out of Al-Andalus then, and they told us they started the Spanish Inquisition, and we left, and some of us came over here, those ones who left in the beginning, those the ones that made it out, said, nah, I'm not going to convert to nothing, I'm out, I'm going. I'll find something else better. These sellouts was like, nah, we stay here, we'll get stuff. We'll get stuff, we'll be, because a lot of these Moriscos was able to get in positions, just like they do today. A lot of the same, that's why when we see Moors in so-called European history, even though some of it, like when they were the majority and we were working in their courts, that's a Morisco. That's a Morisco. Esteban was a Morisco. He worked for the other side. Came over here and sold out. Nothing's changing. It's the same thing. The King Alfred plan is an extension of Spanish Inquisition. It's the same thing. They're just rewording the words. But when you check the etymology of what's going on, it brings right back to the Inquisition. The Moors getting banded from their ancestral estates in the guise of all these other names: black, indigenous, barbarian, whatever. But the whole thing is to kick out the Moors off ancestral estates. And security guard guy, ignorance of the law is no excuse. That's the first thing you learn when you start coming in. You learn that quickly. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. And history and law go together. So just because you don't know it, you're in a warp. He's thinking racism. That's fraud. It's Spanish Inquisition. You're a Morisco. You work for the other side. You get it the worst. Because there's Moors out here now. There's Moors around. There's plenty of videos out. These people know. It's not like these people don't know what's going on. These people know what's going on.
Yeah.
Fontane's got 1.5 million views.
1.5 million. 1.5 million.
These people don't know.
1.5 million.
They all know. Straddling in the fence, trying to play like, oh, got a European lawyer. Of course. No improprial persona. None of that. He can't. He's cardboard. That's why you can get choked out. property. He had no chance in the beginning. How you get? That's how you know. Like they're not even in. He was in an unmarked vehicle.
Yep.
No badge, no uniform,
No nothing. No nothing. Mercenary.
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 But what did first thing he did? He didn't have no badge, no uniform, no sirens, no nothing. First thing so-called black guy does, what? Calls him an officer.
Yep.
This officer is a brother. How did you do that? How did you get to that point? Where is that at? I see a white truck or something like that. It looks like a soccer mom's truck. And somebody's dad is talking to you right now. Like, no, not at all. Not at all. And he's not even a highwayman like that. He was something to, he works in some type of like, he's not a real highwayman on the road guy. He has like office thing. This is not even a real guy that goes on the road in the so-called cruiser or nothing like that. This highway, he's in the office. The ignorance is crazy.
Yeah.
That's what happens. It says, what it say? Only ignorant people can be enslaved.
Mm-hmm. Only.
That's ignorance right there.
Only ignorant people can be enslaved. Islam to all the Moors who are not ignorant and competent. Islam to you.
Islam.
Peace and love to all the studious Moors out there who make sure they at least got a book on them when they leave the house. You know, there's one book that you read 50 times already. You read something.
Yep.
Read something.
I love those Moors. Islam to the Moors getting in trouble for reading. That's all you do is read. Islam to those Moors. I love those Moors.
So, got one sent today. This is a good one. You're watching right now?
Oh, all right. I can watch. Hold on.
Yeah. Pull up your thing right now because this is why we respect and appreciate studious Moors. So, you know, we know that there's
yeah, I'm good.
You know, we know that there's social media and all this type of stuff, and you know, some people are on there with some BS or whatever. But it's good to know that, you know, like we got Moors who are in those realms, right? And they're taking what it is that they learn and they're putting it into practice. So we got a good one. One of our Moors going in with some Moors right now that want to be Aboriginals and indigenous or whatever. So, some chief named Snoopy.
Chief what?
Snoopy.
Hold on, let me see.
I'm sure that's Snoopy. That's the only thing that says Snoopy. It doesn't say anything else. That's all I see there, Snoopy.
Oh my goodness.
So I already know these people are playing around. But anyway, so Chief Snoopy is out there with some, I used to think we was Moors too, but I had to learn and grow from that like I hope he does, talking about a Moor who previously schooled them.
Right. Yep, go ahead, yep.
Right? Now there's another Aboriginal on there named Action, Team Aboriginals, and their last message was, I was close to signing up for my UCC 1-308, but then I got smart. But then I got smart too. Hard pass on that. Now, there ain't no UCC 1-308 that you're signing up for. So you didn't get too smart there, buddy.
Yep.
You're really not too smart if you think a UCC 1-308 is something you file. You're not really that smart. You probably need to get back with that Moor who y'all been playing around with, like he doesn't know what he's talking about. So we're just gonna back the Moor on some of the things he was saying in his little BS with them. Right? So Chief Snoopy, the Moors look like us. and spoke a similar dialect, did exactly what the Pilgrims asked and befriended us to help them, put them in a position to conquer and hijack our tribes. You know what the Moors did.
Wow.
You know what the Moors did.
Hijacked your tribe.
Hijack their tribes.
The statement was covered.
Now, it's real interesting when we go and do research like we're supposed to do. We find out that everybody knows Native Americans adopted slavery from European settlers.
Mm-hmm.
How the true Aboriginals, the Moors, got caught up in a switcheroo. Because we really think that these so-called fake Indians, the Indians that aren't the copper-colored natives, we really are looking at this like those people have a direct connection with the Moors from the harem who were mad that their mom was or whatever to the Moors. All the sons that we know today would be Masons and KKK and whatever like that. Any type of animosity toward the Asiatic from a European, it's probably because they're mad that their mom was in the harem. Whether they be European or whether they be amalgamated. Now these so-called Indians took these Moors and enslaved them. But that was the switcheroo. Because the dark-skins are always the masters where you go in the world. You go check anywhere in the world. Why is it different when you come to America? You think it's different over here? It's not going to be the dark-skinned people who are ruling? Just like when they went anywhere else in the world. So all these individuals that they're calling themselves chiefs and they're calling themselves aboriginals and whatever like that, they're dark-skinned, which would mean that they're Moors.
Yep.
Which would mean that anybody playing black, aboriginal, indigenous, whatever, is really running a fraud. They're running a fraud. Let's go to We Are All Moors, Anur Majid. Let's focus on New Mexico for a moment. New Mexico is the Americas, right? The more I think about this culturally intriguing southwestern state, the better I can decipher the ghostly presence of the Moor in its history and traditions. The capital of the state was named after the Fortress of Faith, the Castrum, founded in 1491 and built by the army on the edge of Muslim Granada before it surrendered. Before it surrendered to King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella in 1492. Santa Fe's name, design, and general aspects, writes Mercedes Garcia Arenal, would later become the model for the new architecture, blending the styles of Holy War and the modernity including in the Americas. The city of Santa Fe, whose patron saint and protector, the Virgin of the Rosary, is also known as the Conquistadora, obviously stands as the triumph of the Spanish over the Indians / as Moors. The triumph of the Spanish over the Indians / Moors.
Yep.
And the Indians are the Aboriginals, the Indians are the indigenous, the Indians are the Chickasaw and the Chippewa and the Aliwa and the whatever. Well, according to Mercedes Garcia Arenal, the Indians are Moors.
Mm-hmm.
So if the Indians are Moors, why do these people pretend that they're chiefs and stuff like that? Unless they're jealous of the quote-unquote chief, which are the sellouts, nobility that they got from making these fake treaties with the Europeans. Now they want to be them to try to get a piece of the pie instead of being Moors and claiming their birthright. Oh yeah, that's what Mo was saying, because all these cowards out here that don't want to be Moors because they're damn coward. They have no backbone. That's why they don't want to be Moors. Forget that different school of thought and Islamic and and the Turks and forget all that. You're just cowards. That's why you have a problem with Moors. But they're all a bunch of cowards because they could claim their birthright, but they choose to be Chief Snoopies. They claim to be Chief Gallywangos and chief that never made. How did they become a chief?
Yeah. French guys.
How the Moors play a role in the demise of the whole continent when Europeans came here and they said it was a land of milk and honey.
Yeah.
What demise of a continent are you talking about? Demise of a continent came when you people stopped being Moors and started being Indians. That's when the demise of the continent, when you stopped being Moors and you wanted to join Cherokee tribes because you thought you were black Indians. That's the demise. They don't Moors spoke no dialects. Moors spoke languages. What dialect are you talking about?
That's the always wanting a benefit. They went into the Cherokee tribes thinking they were gonna get a benefit.
Yep. These
people claim minority thinking they get a benefit. These people claim people of color think they're gonna get a benefit.
Mm-hmm.
They think they get benefits for that. The whole game is continuing. It's continuing. The whole game. If you sell out, if you give up your birthright, you might get something for it. That's the whole game. You give up your birthright, you'll get something for it. You'll get enough to function.
A little something to function. I go read the article, How Native American Slaveholders Complicate the Trail of Tears Narrative. Why? Because the Trail of Tears was all Asiatics. What do you mean some pale Indians were doing something? What the hell are you talking about? These people we're seeing today, they're modern. Remember, we weren't the ones that were doing these drawings and paintings. And when you see certain pictures saying that's natives.
Right.
Remember, they use art as history. Right? They literally paint themselves into history. So if you can go to, what's his name, Van Voot now. And what was the book that you got with the?
Oh, glad you talked about it. The treasures of ancient America.
Yes. Yes.
With the red cover book.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. The treasures of ancient America.
Right.
Go. Yep.
Like that's not showing you pictures. Yeah, that's not showing you any pictures of people who look like some Europeans as the indigenous.
No. Mm-mm.
Zero pictures looking like some Europeans. Zero. How come? Why? Because it really didn't exist like that. When they started telling the stories, just like when Jose Pimenta Bay was talking about in Europe, they say more. When the book comes over here in U.S. and Canada and all that stuff, book says black. What do you mean? Everything else is the same, but you just change that only? Why would you change that? Why would a book in England say Blackamoor and then a book in the United States or Canada say black? Same book.
Same book.
And then all the pictures
That's
that you
genocide.
see, all the pictures that you see of ancient whatever is Europeans. That would warp your mind into thinking that that's a reality. Only when you do your research and study, you realize that it's not the reality. Remember, Choctaw Chief Greenwood LaFleur. That's not no indigenous name. Greenwood LaFleur? How's Greenwood LaFleur the chief?
That's not Chief Featherfoot. They don't say that.
Right.
That's why Chief Snoopy can choose Chief Snoopy. They can just do anything. they can just do whatever. They can just do whatever. It doesn't even matter.
It doesn't even matter. It does not matter at all. Nothing matters. Nothing matters.
Chief Snoopy, Chief Greenwood, Chief Kangaroo, what's his name? Kangaroo, what's his name?
Kalinago.
Oh, same thing.
Kangaroo, same thing. King Kangaroo. King Kangaroo in Forest Park Zoo.
Isn't that crazy? Alone. That whole thing was crazy, man. That whole thing is crazy. I don't know what you're trying to do, but that we can go in on all of that. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's up to you. I don't know how long we've been on so far.
Yeah, we good. We good still. We still all right. We still all right. You know. So Chief Greenwood LaFleur had 400 enslaved under his dominion, according to the Library of Congress. So don't get mad at Moors. I thought the Moors were the ones that enslaved black guys and stuff like that. How come nobody talks about the Indians and the Aboriginals who were slave masters?
Right. The Moors enslaved. Well, we got an article here. It says that these so-called Indians are the ones enslaving people. Enslaving you so-called Negro, blacks, and colored. Don't say the Moors. I don't see no articles that say the Moors.
I'm saying
these guys pull up that same Congolese picture, and like that got something to do with us over here.
Right.
And Moors enslaved them. Like what? That's that. Stop pulling up that same Congolese picture.
Exactly.
What that got to do with over here? Over here, yeah. What it say? The article. What it say? Oh, the Native Americans enslaved. Oh, so it was them so-called Indians that was enslaving y'all. I thought it was the Moors. Somebody's lying. Somebody's lying. Cowards, like the mother said. Cowards, no backbone.
No backbone.
They playing games. Doing whatever. Because the powers that be got them. That's what it is. That's what the whole thing is. The power that be. Which is really what? The notes. The power that be is the notes. These people not worried about dying. Dying is the not having the notes. To them, they're materialistic.
Yeah, right. Yeah, dying is not having notes to them. That's crazy.
Right.
So what's dying to them? That's the question. If dying is not having notes to them, being broke, poor, or whatever, then what's dying to them? Like when death happens, what the hell's gonna happen to them?
Exactly.
If they think that dying is being poor, oh, I don't want to be there ever again or whatever like that. When you got, you know what I mean? Whoever's had finance, lost finance, had finance, lost finance, had finance, like it's going out of style.
Yep.
Right? And remember, it's these same sellouts who got the treaty in 1866 that created the 5 civilized tribes. They're civilized because the European put them onto something.
Yep. 1866.
1866.
Congress adjourned in 1861. So who they made that with?
Oh, it says right there.
Who they made?
It says right there, the United States. In the treaty, it says they did the treaty with the United States. Not United States of America. Not United States of America Republic. Not Continental Congress or anything like that. United States. And you're telling us that Moors are the sellouts? This is you guys' treaty.
Yep.
Oh.
That's why the first thing they say, they're federally recognized.
Yep.
Yeah, we know. We know that.
We know that.
We know that. The United States, 1866.
Oh yeah, we forgot to put this expose out there. Let's put this one out there. Just to let you know that they know. Don't these people fool you that they don't know.
But the fact of the matter is, according to sources, a group of shipwrecked Spaniards who settled in the Kent County area of Delaware in the 1700s claimed to have Moorish ancestry intermixed with a few Nanticoke families. They have come to be known as the Moors of Delaware.
Let's just back this up because they're moving kind of fast. They're playing around.
Right. You might have to give an introduction to that. Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, according to sources,
they're playing around.
A group of shipwrecked Spaniards who settled in the Kent County area of...
Hey, let's do this properly. The Delaware Moors, a curious people found in Kent and Sussex counties. Why are they curious? Why would they classify these Moors as curious? That's something to put out there, right? There has been much speculation about the so-called Moors living in Kent and Sussex counties, Delaware. These people are usually swarthy, black-haired, and black-eyed, though some of a fair complexion. And so they're making a distinction that there's light-skinned ones, there's dark-skinned ones, and there's fair ones. They're making a distinction. They are mostly farmers. They have their own schools, distinct from the general public school system. Yeah, that sounds like Moors to me.
Yeah.
They associate neither with whites nor with blacks. So remember, these are Moors, so they can't have nothing to do with slave and blacks if they don't associate with them.
Yep.
Keep in mind, if the Moors were not associating with whites and blacks, then the Moors couldn't be the ones that enslaved the blacks.
Oh, right. Didn't even associate with them.
If the Moors chose not to associate with blacks, how could they have enslaved them? And then we have that backed up with Noble Drew Ali's literature, where the Europeans went to the old sheik and asked them for some people to help build up their nation. And the Moors said, take those Moors over there because they're not going to do anything. They're lazy asses. They're Negroes. Because we don't associate with, we have stuff to do. We don't have time to help you build up anything. If you want somebody to build up, see those moles over there doing nothing over there? Round them up. They'll help you do whatever for some scraps.
Yep.
You give them the tail of the ox, and they'll be gladly assisting you in building up your whatever you want.
Yep.
That's not we enslaved anybody. Yep. You'll always find
find
a nigger.
Another nigger to take your place. Cause that's what they do. That's what they do.
Right.
Anything for the finance. Anything. These people lie up there, make it seem like they in it for the babies. Start mentioning the babies. Like it's crazy to me. Like they'll be like, oh, we're doing this. We got to get our children out of their school and put them in what? Another slave camp? But you were saying black.
Right. Moors enslaved somebody.
No.
Delaware in the 1700s claimed to have Moorish ancestry intermixed with a few Nanticoke families.
One theory has been that they are of the Moorish race and that their ancestors were Spanish Moors, wrecked on the coast more than a century ago. Now, if Spanish is a language, not a people, then all that they're saying is that these were Moors who were speaking Latin. Now, hold on a second. How is it that Moors shipwrecked? How is it that Moors shipwrecked more than a century ago, but they were supposed to be in slavery to some Europeans?
Yeah.
And then how do they know that there's such a thing as a Moorish race? But they're not talking about over there anywhere. They're talking about Delaware. Why is the theory that these swarthy, black-eyed, black-haired, or fair complexion people are of the Moorish race, and that their ancestors were Spanish Moors?
And which is no Spain. It's Al-Andalus, so there are Al-Andalusians, which were Moors.
Now remember, they're of the Moorish race. Another tradition represents them as descendants of the Nanticoke.
Moors.
So if these Delaware Moors are descendants of the Nanticoke, and the Delawares are called Moors, and their ancestors were Spanish Moors, and they're of the Moorish race, then why are they calling them Nanticoke Indians? Oh yeah, steal their birthright. Have them following or have them under the jurisdiction of some fake treaties made with people who were posing as their ancestors, and now they're in trouble. And they don't want to go back to the birthright. Even though they know. Remember, listen very carefully where we're going right now. Because this is their Aboriginal whoever talking. This is not what we're saying. This is what their Aboriginal indigenous chief whoever is saying.
They have come to be known as the Moors of Delaware, or the Delaware Moors. But these few families, who number no more than 300, were a separate group who shared ancestry with the local tribes, but they were not one and the same as the Delaware nation. So to clear it up, I sat down with the Nanticoke historian, Reverend John Norwood.
I'm Reverend John Norwood, councilman and judge of the Nanticoke Lenape Tribal Nation, part of the Confederated Nanticoke Lenape tribes of the Delaware Bay region on the East Coast. My Lenape name is Kelek Etakamak, meaning smiling thunder bear.
He had some interesting things to say that should end the speculation.
They go fast again with this stuff. The Moors were considered a mysterious people whose origins were not known or were shrouded in legend. Perhaps they derived from an early pirate enclave in the New World, or from a settlement of retired English and Irish regiments stationed in Tangier in the 1600s, like Kirk Lambs, who were rumored to have brought Moroccan brides with them to the shores of the Chesapeake Bay. Equally romantic, yet quite possible, are tales of escaped Spanish galley slaves, Turks, Arabs, Jews, and Moors, who stayed in the New York and married in to the native populations even earlier in the 1500s. In any case, the group was identified as part European, white, part African, pirate Moors and other early Africans, and part Native American. From first contact, tribes like Powhatan, Alachigo, Lenape, Ook, and others. In the early Delaware census, mulatto could mean black-white. Mulatto can't mean black-white, because black-white's not, there's nothing called that. So that mulatto can't mean that. And whether English retired regiment stationed in Tangiers that brought Moroccan brides here, or whether Spanish galley slaves, Arabs, Turks, and Moors. Now, if they're Spanish galley slaves, they're not Slavic. If they're Turks, Arabs, Jews, and Moors. But this is how they play the people when they tell the story, and have them thinking that. Remember, all the crew for all the ships of Europeans that said that they were coming over here with Columbus, 1492 and all that stuff, were from the Spanish Inquisition dungeons. Just like in Robin Hood. Just like how Robin Hood got out the stuff and he got with a Moor to get out. It's the exact same thing. Except they let them out and told them, you're going to go help him get to your ancestors on the other side of this ocean. Because we know, we already found the maps and all that stuff, and we know what's up.
Yep.
You know, slave trade. Europeans bringing somebody over here. Them coming over here to conquer. And praise Allah for Moors being able to communicate. So that before these Europeans could even get over here and try to get too crazy, it was already going to be established that they're going to have to set up something in order to really be free, because you can't run to be free. If you have to run and hide and duck and whatever, that's not freedom. You're still enslaved.
That's not, no.
And they were on the run from the Moors. Remember, Granada got given to them. They didn't conquer Jack.
Nope.
The Moor gave up the key to Granada.
Yep. Coward.
Coward. Same type that Mo's talking about.
Yep.
The same type of coward.
Yep.
Remember, this is their historian guy talking. Just remember.
Yep. And she's giving it to him, just like the mother when she spit on him. She's giving it to him.
It went to trial. Now, their defense was that they weren't African American. They were not. They weren't African American. They were not. They were not. They were not.
In any case, the group was identified as part European, white, part African, pirate Moors or other early Africans, and part Native American from first contact tribes like the Powhatan, Ulanichtago, Lenape, Ook, and others. In the early Delaware census, mulatto could mean black, white, mixed, or Native American, mixed white, or any combination of all three. That's European psychology. You're going with that. According to Bruton's Berry's 1963 social studies book, Almost White, the Moors were not self-identified as white, black, or red, but simply as Moors. Don't talk to Moors, go talk to Bruton Berry, who, in his book, Almost White, states the Moors were not self-identified. That same thing Dr. Ben told you. We were calling ourselves Moors. We were calling ourselves Moors. Somebody didn't call us that. We were calling ourselves that. F you. But you're Aboriginal and you're indigenous and you're all this BS. We never identified ourselves as white, black, or red, but simply as Moors. This is only for the dummies who are out there that want to not be dumb. This is not to all the Moors who know their self and know that their nationality and birthrights are real, and the Moroccan Empire is real, and Noble Drew Ali was real, and everything that he brought was to save us as a nation. And now that we got it, we can see that we're saved. It's not to all you Moors. Remember, listen.
Out of the trial, there was a story that was popular that the community in Sussex County were descendants of a Moorish prince who married I believe an Irish lady. Their offspring married the Nanticoke.
And so a Moorish prince. No other prince in the world. There wouldn't be a Pakistani prince or Asian prince, African prince. No, none of those are. Or Moorish prince. Married somebody Irish. Moorish prince married somebody Irish. And then their descendants joined the Lenape tribe.
Another although that was just
Today's descendants of the Delaware Moors. Remember, they keep referring to them as Moors. There's supposed to be, ain't no Moors and all that stuff that are Native American, but these Moors of Delaware, they call Moors. And remember, they named themselves that. Somebody else didn't say you guys are Moors. They were always saying we're Moors. Today's descendants of Delaware Moors feel that their forebears were primarily Native American in origin, Moor Indians, who protected their farms, lands, and right to live in their ancestral homeland by allowing census takers to classify them as African American, which is the same thing as classifying. Today's descendants of the Delaware Moors feel that their forebears were primarily Native American in origin, Moor Indians, who protected their farms, lands, and rights to live in their ancestral homeland by allowing census takers to classify them as African American.
Look at that. So they were Moors.
Oh,
right there.
And they allowed themselves to be classified as African American.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because African American came about in the 1960s?
Right.
70s?
Right.
Jesse Jackson? So how is these Native Americans having the census people classify them as something that wasn't even being called? This is why you have to always ask these people for a reference point. Right? In fact, the Moorish identity may have been a kind of facade to cover the Native American identity. How? How are you going to use a pebble to cover a boulder? Moorish identity is the boulder. The game is them trying to get rid of Moorish. And remember, it's your own. It's your own doing it.
Yep.
It's not some foreigner doing it. It's your own that's doing it. Like after all this, after bringing up Moorish princes and all this, after Noble Drew Ali being Cherokee and saying, forget Cherokee, we're Moorish. There's a bigger jurisdiction than just the Americas. If we're saying that we're the first of something, you're not going to be Native American and have a superior claim to somebody who's Asian, because even they said they came over here on the Bering Strait. And then they have all over there that they could claim too. Superior claim to your Native American claim. And again, the matter has to be looked into so that it could be corrected. Because people are selling their self out, thinking that they're doing themselves favors. You're not doing yourself a favor, you're selling yourself out.
That was just a fanciful story. That was just a fanciful story. That was just a fanciful story. The actual story is name of the Cheswold area simply was Moortown. And
Now, if the area where the native and indigenous Native American whoever's lived was called Moortown, why would they be Delaware or have some Aboriginal BS? If their town is called Moor, it's probably because they were Moors. Right. More than likely, the town being called Moor was because they were Moors.
Or they would have named it Narragansett Town. Or Lenape Town. Why didn't they name it Lenape Town? Lenape. Why didn't they name it that town? If it's not Moors there and it's Lenape, like he keeps saying, why did they name it Morristown?
That was just a fanciful story. That was just a fanciful story. The actual story is name of the Cheswold area simply was Moortown. And they had been there in that area always, so they were called the original people of Moortown. That's how the names are.
So the town was called Moor. They were called the original people of Moortown, but they're not Moors. They're Native American? FOH.
Yeah. The chief telling them.
FOH. Playing games. Playing games.
They all playing games. Oh, speaking of that, I was real quick, man.
Yeah, man.
I was looking for Hakeem's video from back in the day, the one, right? I find it. It's on Auto Talkiness's page. 17,000 views, something crazy. I'm like, oh, why is it on here?
17,000.
And I'm thinking he's trying to expose something. He was just letting the people know. I'm like, what happened? What happened? And it's from years ago. This was one of his first videos he posted.
Yeah. What happened?
And then they switched up.
Forgot that they're Moors, saw that fame and nobility, and took off running.
Yep.
Saw that fame and nobility, took off running.
It was looking more at that Indian. He got more views when he wrote Indian. So now he's Aboriginal, all talking and stuff.
Right.
For the views.
Yeah. For some type of look like you're doing something. I mean, peace and love to all Moors. You already know. It's gonna be one of them weeks.
Wow.
I know it's gonna be one of them weeks. So don't forget, Moors, keep studying. Let's just remind them. Cherokee Indians letter to the President of the United States. The undersigned, referring to his petition of 8th day of February 1886, has the honor to point to the quotation therein contained from the 6th article of the Treaty of 1866, and in that quotation to point to the phrases said district and this and every other district in the said nation, for the purpose of explaining that in the 4th article of said Treaty of 1866, it was provided and left to the election of certain free persons and free Negroes, whether or not they should avail themselves of the right to settle in and occupy the Canadian district southwest of the Arkansas River and all of the tract of country lying northwest of Grand River and bounded on the southeast by Grand River. Said free persons and free Negroes were fixed in this right, qualified by a legal limitation to expire with the expiration of the first 2 years subsequent to the promulgation and said Treaty of 1866. These classes allowed that limitation to operate to debar them from their right thus to have settled. Referring to the terms of the 9th article of the said Treaty of 1866, in which the high contracting parties have agreed that the said classes of Negroes shall and have created for them a beneficiary right, granting and guaranteeing to the said Negroes or freedmen in terms all the rights of native Cherokees. It will be observed that the said 9th article and the terms thereof, as stipulated and agreed upon by the two high contracting parties, is the intent and purpose in its independence, perfected in its directness of the terms and provisions of the said 9th article from the terms and rights to settle herein before mentioned and described as provided by the foresaid 4th article and limitation thereof of the said Treaty of 1866. Why would the Cherokees be granting Negroes rights as Cherokees if they didn't have them in some superior position? Obviously, the Negroes were the denationalized Moors. That Cherokees figured they're gonna get in on the stuff. Slave trade's going on. It's all about getting the dark people out of here so we could look like we're the actual indigenous people. Then, we're game for that. Help these Europeans get rid of all those buffalo or whatever. Treaty of 1866. Showing that these people had Negroes in slavery. I'm trying to put it on the Moors. No way, Jose.
Not the Moors.
No way. Don't forget, 9 p.m. MHHS, or 9:30 p.m. MHHS, eyes wide open. Tonight. Islam to all the Moors worldwide. Peace and love to all the Moors, wherever you're at. If you know about that national birthrights, Islam to you.
Yep.
Super Islam to you. Islam, you got any closeout?
Yeah, Islam to all the Moors in the chat. Give thanks for your platform, Green Sheet. You already know. I know the Moors love when you came back, went live, showing them some more videos, some more things that they can go study. You know, we give much thanks for that, man. Big time. I really do. I know Moors in the chat really do.
Islam.
Islam.
Peace and love, Moorish Americans. You already know. Islam to all. Study. Yo, study. Do not even play around with not studying. These people are gonna leave you hanging. Might have an expose coming up in a little bit. So stay tuned, we'll let you know what's good, but it is definitely crazy out here. Islam Wars.
Yeah. Now we seek that higher knowledge. Only the ignorant can't relate. We just kill them with love instead of hate. That's what it's about.
We are Moors.
Shout out to the grass shake, Cujo L, Iron Shake.
Yeah. We are Moors. Heard what I said? Circle 7 snap back, not just affairs. We are Moors. You heard what I said? Blue, white, green fairs, not just red. We are Moors. Heard what I said? Keep talking reckless and muftis for your head. We are Moors. You heard what I said? Your slave name crest might have a Moor head. We are Moors.
20 Moors rockin', you could call them Moroccans. Racial West adepts, let's get it poppin'. Got a problem with my sheep? Got a problem with me? I be on the front line rolling 23 deep. I be studying for hours, 7 days a week, working on my higher self, cause the devil don't sleep. Big ups to Cujo L, that's the Iron Sheep. 7's up, facing the east, praising Allah.
Astrology, cosmology, that's the real law. I slow roast ya, master the flame like Zoe Roaster. The rise of the new Moors, old heads move over. That Kundalini energy rising up like a cobra. This is training day, mount up with real soldiers. Elevate beyond the hate and claim your lost estate. The only reason you hate is you too blind to relate. The only reason you hate is you too blind to relate. We are Moors. Heard what I said? Circle 7 snap back, not just affairs. We are Moors. You heard what I said? I don't rock a hat, just a turban, no affairs. We are Moors. Heard what I said? Keep talking reckless and muftis for your head. We are Moors. You heard what I said? Your slave name crest might have a Moor head. Stop talking crazy. You can't be everything but Moors. That's like willing to stay minority and not mature. Therefore, Tosh to be gay taught the world don't respect you. However, since you want to be it, you go down when they fall. They, the ones you call government, that's really a corpse. Black man news funeral director should make sense, of course. Music is the food and the message, the medicine. Mumble food is poison. I'm with the golden era veterans like Mark D. Condolences, QB, RIP Prodigy, who studied the history of the Moors and etymology. You missed the Corsica headband, disguised as a bandana. Moorish MC, the real Moroccan, not a French Montana. Kendrick Lamar, you Sarahite, trust me, Hebrew's a language. Lupe put Moors in his video, made the point vantage. Yassine Bey knows Sabay, Bey knows Moorish master MC. Fuqan Bey and Daddy IU on some Moorish degrees. Sprague and Bojuno, they even killed Peter because of Macintosh. Still visit Digable planets, hip-hop astronauts. Milky Way flow, rays of tassels, blind unbelievers. To higher than other senses, to still pick up the frequency. Pick your addiction, truth will still make itself known. To go platinum now, you gotta give up more plus your soul. Watch Professor build pyramids, I watch Drink Champ steady. Cause Nori said you are on a track, so call me petty. Also more exec produced the War Report album. Aboriginal Super Cat taught me how to hang and scalp them. Operation Lockdown, video feathers like I said to do. Initiate invasions, activate outdoors every spook. We are Moors. Heard what I said? Circle 7 snap back, not just affairs. We are Moors. You heard what I said? Blue, white, green fairs, not just red. We are Moors. Heard what I said? Keep talking reckless and muftis for your head. We are Moors. You heard what I said? Your slave name crest might have a Moor head. We are Moors. We are Moors. Heard what I said? We are Moors. Heard what I said? Heard what I said? Heard what I said? We are Moors. We are Moors.